DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Question of the day is up on Facebook, DJ and PK. It's up on Twitter, David DJ James. Brian Santiago says BYU will never have a private equity firm be part of its sports programs. Why so adamant? PK, it will shock you to learn. This is getting a lot of reaction this morning.
2 words, BYU.
Yes, I suppose it will not shock you to learn that it is getting a lot of reaction. So we've got a segment here on RSL with Pablo coming up here. He'll join us momentarily. And we got the Mammoth Scouting Report at 9:30, but we will get to this in our final segment, so stay tuned for that. DJ and PK, we're joined right now by RSL head coach Pablo Mastroeni. Pablo, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Pablo.
There we go. I got him.
Hey, guys.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Good to hear you.
Absolutely.
Pablo, sometimes when you tell me something 20 or 30 times, I eventually begin to believe you and hear you. And you have told me many times, more about the process, less about the results. The only way to get the results you want is to have the process that you need.
Right.
You're 6 games in. The results have been really good, but the process is weird. You've only played 1 time in the last 3 weeks. Now you got to play 3 times in 8 days. San Diego Saturday, Messi will be here Wednesday. Then you go to L.A. the next weekend to play the Galaxy. This process isn't normal. How do you feel like the team's handling it? Are you ready to play your best in a pretty intense stretch here that will trump anything that's come before it?
Yeah, no, I think, again, when we speak about process, it's really about how we approach the day-to-day, right? And I think this has obviously been a unique time with the two bye weeks so early in the season. But if you go back to the beginning of the season and you realize that we lost 4 guys about 2 days before our first game, and the guys just carried on. There wasn't a change in behavior. It was really about sticking to what we had to do, what the objective was. And the guys have been great. So, again, I think this is another challenge for us, a 3-game week off the heels of not playing in 2 weeks. And then we'll just see where we're at. But the preparation this week has been great. I think, just talking to the guys, it's really interesting because they said it's really strange because, with the results that we've gotten in the first 6 games, there's still a little bit of tension in the locker room. And I said, well, are you saying that's a bad thing? And they say, well, man, I don't feel like there should be any tension in the locker room. And I said, no, tension's great because tension means that we're doing well, but let's be great. Let's do better. And if you don't have that tension, even when things are going well, then I don't feel like you're a team that's striving to be the best they can be. So it's been really interesting. The training sessions have been great. The attitude's been great. And the fact that there's a little tension in the locker room on the heels of this 3-game week means that they're ready to rock.
Sweet, man. I'm going to have to speak to my wife next time we golf because I love tension and she hates it.
Now, golf, it might be a little bit different, PK. I don't know. I'm not good enough to say one way or the other.
That's the essence of that relationship, by the way. Just in case you're wondering, PK plays radio sometime. He was giving you 100% truth right there.
I thrive on tension.
Jersey. Somebody's from Jersey and somebody's not from Jersey. That's all you need to know.
That's right.
You talk about that tension in the locker room, and we often hear, you have to have some player-led leadership in addition to the management. And we hear, get the savvy veterans. I'm wondering, in your situation, savvy veterans are nice and all that, and they can provide the leadership. But because of the nature of your team where you got so many young guys, I mean, literally boys practically, if a kid like Luna, who is not that old himself, but compared to a teenager, he's been around, if that helps get better leadership, almost like a peer rather than somebody who might be in their 30s.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I think Luna's been added to the leadership group this year. Obviously, he's been playing great, and this is obviously a big year for him. And in particular, this week, there's been a change in Luna and the way he's approached really, the start of the training, the whole training, and how he's leading in a different way. And I think it's a great thing to see on the cusp of the national team being named. But he's really picked it up a lot, and it's been really interesting because there's a case where we're in training and Luna said, I said, well, Luna, why don't you go to the left side? And he said, well, is Gozo going to the left side? And I said, no, Gozo's staying on the right. He goes, well, I can stay on the right. I like playing with Gozo. So and now Gozo hears that and Gozo gets a lift, so leadership is also, I think, understanding that, that everyone's flowing, everyone wants to play with each other, whether you're an old player or, like in Gozo's case, a younger player who's doing extremely well. And so when you have Luna saying that I want to play with Gozo, and Gozo hears that, I mean, that's a pretty powerful leadership moment that kind of brings everyone together.
And you mentioned the World Cup team getting picked, and obviously all eyes, for RSL fans are on Luna. And I was surprised to hear recently, it'll be interesting to see if Gozo gets chosen. I was like, if Gozo gets chosen, he hasn't been in with the national team right before the World Cup. They would just, he's playing well, he's talented, he's fast, he's, just scored a heck of a goal, even if it was an unexpected first touch and he didn't plan to do it. He did it. Even if he didn't plan to do it, he did it.
Right.
And I thought, wow, really? And they said, well, it is 26 players, not 23. And, the current coach, some coaches value all this continuity and some coaches really value recent form. I'm like, well, that would play in his favor. Do you get calls on this kind of stuff? Do you just, hear rumors? Do the national team coaches reach out very often? How does that whole thing work?
Yeah, I think it's different from national team coach to national team coach, because when Greg Berhalter was in charge, we talked quite a bit. Even with the U20s, when Mikey Veras was there, we talked quite a bit. I think it's just the coach's style, really. And I think in this case, I haven't spoken to Mauricio or anyone from the camp since the last time they were in town, observing Luna. So I think in this case, it's more, just keep your cards close to your vest, because I think, if they're trying to be as fair and objective with everything. And, if they talk to one player, these players all talk, right? So although they play on different teams, they all communicate. And so if one person goes, hey, I just heard from Mauricio, and they're like, well, I haven't heard from it. And all of a sudden it might send a negative message to what's actually going to happen. So, but I haven't heard anything from Mauricio. And to your point about Gozo, there could be a space for him and it'd be a wild card. And the great thing about, Gozo's a wild card is I'm going to tell you, even at that level, if you were to go and play in a game, there would be no thinking as far as I can't mess up. Gozo's going to be Gozo. He's going to shoot from areas where most people won't shoot from. He's going to take people on when it's probably not the best decision and still get away with it. So, youth is beautiful in this, as we're seeing this year.
I know you've had this time off, and it's unusual to have this much time off, and I think you were scheduled to have some type of a scrimmage last week. I'm wondering how you handled conditioning to stay as sharp as you could, collectively speaking, as far as the time off, but then also have the conditioning to be able to play the bunch of games here in a relative short period of time.
Right. No, I think that's a good question. And we have a great performance staff that kind of oversees all that, right? And so we've kind of put all the things in the equation as far as time away and what numbers we want to get to. So we did a 70-minute scrimmage at last Friday, and then gave the guys a couple days off to enjoy the weekend so we can start a normal 5-day lead-in as we typically do when we have home games for the San Diego game. And I think there's always a balance to strike. I think the thing that we look for, PK, is the amount of the meters per minute is something that we look at every day in training. So meters per minute, how many meters are you covering in a minute? And we like to keep it at above 110 to 120, between 110 and 120 during the week. So that means when they're working, they're working extremely hard, and then there's rest periods. And so we at this point in the season, we have a good barometer as to what has been successful for us so far this year as far as how much to train in that zone. And then our sports performance guys break it down. And then, if one day we go a little extra, we'll take some meterage off the next day. And so this one is a lot of science, where I usually say it's more art than science. This one's a lot of science. And then the art part of it is at the end of the last game, we cut it like a minute and a half, 2 minutes short because the guys were dying. They were really going for it, and we didn't want them to overexpose themselves. So then the art part was, let's cut it shorter than the 35-minute halves, we said.
There's an old thing in sports, you can't lose your job because of an injury. And then there's other people who are like, I'm going to play the best guys. I don't care. I thought Victor Olatunji was written in stone. He's one of the guys you talked about who got hurt just days before the season opener, and he could not play for weeks because of his eye. When he came back, you've had him coming off the bench. And you got 3 games in 8 days, so you're going to have to play everybody, and actually at that position you might even have to start multiple people. How do you view his role going forward, given the fact that Serge Salon's in front of him has been playing really well, scoring goals, creating lots of chances, and seems to like to defend, which you obviously prioritize that as well. So how are you deciding how you're going to handle this? You are getting a little bit of a gift with 3 games in 8 days. You can kind of keep everybody happy with some minutes.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it, DJ. I think, again, it's the hardest thing for players and even, I guess, fans at times, too, to kind of wrap their arms around is that this is such a long season, and I'm always communicating like, listen, in Serge's case with Victor, is like he's playing really well. He's a young player. We're going to need him in big moments this year. If I take him out now, it's going to be very difficult for him to gain the confidence, and he might be overthinking things. And so he's in a good way. I said, we brought you here, Victor, because we all believe in you. I believe in you. You're a huge asset to this club. However, the situation at the moment, I think, lends itself to giving him a little bit of longer runway. And then when you get your go, there's no doubt you're going to score goals and be a stalwart on this team. So I think in these moments, DJ, I think it's really about communicating. And then helping them understand that, one, if we're not going to be a good team, if we're going to be a great team, we're going to need depth, and we're going to need guys that come in and are just as good as the guy that's coming out, like just as good. Not. There's no discrepancy in the two. Like everyone's scoring goals, everyone's assisting goals, everyone's defending great. And so then the other part is the length of the season and how the time will come. And so now we have a 3-game week, and the expectation is that Victor's going to get a go, and he's going to do a fantastic job. And everyone's going to probably say, Pablo, why hadn't you been playing Victor this whole time? And that's how it goes.
That's part of the job.
That's it.
One way or the other, you're going to be second, third, fourth, and fifth guess. That's just the way it is in sports, and probably in life too. I'm wondering if you could go big picture and speak to what Messi means to the league, what he means coming to town, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a different perspective just because, I've been in this space and have had the opportunity to play against him when he was a young kid and then coach against him a couple of years ago. And so, I mean, I think for me, it's he's been in the frame for a lot of years, but I think for a lot of the newer players, guys like Gozo, I'm sure growing up and watching Messi in his heyday and and so I think it's really rare to play alongside of Michael Jordan, alongside of Wayne Gretzky, it's so rare. And so sometimes I think, the impact that Messi has has been incredible to our league. Obviously winning the MLS Cup last year was huge. But everything that comes before, the Ballon d'Or, best player in the world, X amount of times, and now he's 36 years old and is still playing well, scoring goals, league MVP 2 years in a row. So anyways, I think all these accolades, precede him in that he's a living legend that you're on the field with. And so my fear is always that they're going to spend more time in awe of Messi than actually play against him, especially with a younger group. But I think we learned our lesson last year, or 2 years ago when we played him, that he's human. We want to win this game. At the end of the day, 3 important points for us. So I think it's just a balance. I think for us, it's not over indexing the fact that Messi's on the field. It's more about we all know what he brings. We got to make sure that we have a good setup to be aware of where he's at all times, but really approach the game as a celebration of us being a great team and wanting to be a great team rather than celebrating the best player that's ever played the game.
Miami and Messi are here Wednesday. San Diego is here Saturday night. We're going to give away tickets in a second. I love a good stat. I was stunned by this one, Pablo. I don't know if you know this. Do you know how many red cards San Diego has taken in the last 6 games they've played?
I think is it 4 or 5?
It's 6.
Wrong, Pablo.
I have never heard of it. It's 4 games in a row. That's why you have the number 4 in your head.
Right,
it's 4 games in a
right.
row. You go back 5, they didn't take 1. But if you go back a 6th game, they had 2 in that game. So that's why you had those numbers in your head. And I'm sure somebody told you. 4 games in a row they've taken a red card.
Wow.
But it's 6 in 6 games.
That's incredible.
And one of them was against you in a 2-2 draw down there. That one came late. Some of them come on early. Some of them come late. So I'm going to be looking to see if anybody out there, trying to provoke anybody, any of that little, the little dig, little something, see if you can draw them, bait them into something.
I hope so.
Well, here's the thing with San Diego too is they're very transitional as well. So when they commit a lot of numbers forward in transition and someone steals the ball, now they're exposed defensively, and more times than not, it's going to add to either yellow cards or, in some cases, red cards. So
Reds, yeah.
Yeah. So it should be, regardless, it'll be an exciting game. That game in San Diego was too exciting for my blood, but hey, the fans deserve a show. So hopefully we're on the right side of the result.
All right, thanks, Pablo. We appreciate it as always. Good luck.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, there's Pablo Mastroeni. He always says that after these 2-2, 3-2 games. He's like, yeah, you people probably love that. I hated that. That just killed me.
That's a coach, yeah.
But it's the best because everybody hates it when you're just standing in the middle of the field and the offside trap and people just seem to be kicking the ball around with no real purpose. And the end-to-end is just way more – it's wide open. It's more entertaining. And San Diego and RSL both want to play that way. So usually you'd expect to get that kind of game, and San Diego did. It was 4 goals, and there were probably another 4 or 5 chances split between the two teams. Both teams could have picked up a third or fourth goal, hitting crossbars, great saves, all kinds of stuff.